Charles Bauer, Gallagher, Callahan, and Gartrell, Concord, on behalf of the city of Keene.
Robert Beadle, also Gallagher, Callahan, and Gartrell, on behalf of the city of Keene.
Thank you. I'm prepared to continue with the testimony. I know that there's a motion filed by Attorney Meyer asking for permission to take one of the witnesses out of order. I think there's no
No
objection.
objection. We, and John and I have talked. There's no
No, I
objection.
would also appreciate that. I would like the opportunity, at the court's timing, to argue the motion to dismiss this pending.
Absolutely. My plan is to have the testimony, and then if there are any pending motions, address them at that point.
Your Honor?
Again, I accept it, whatever courts, whatever timing or sequence the court determines. I just state that the argument for making the motion arguing the motion to dismiss before resuming the testimony is that in terms of what testimony is relevant and what testimony is not relevant in this particular proceeding, which is admittedly an unprecedented proceeding, it would help to have some clarification of the legal issues so that the determination as to what lines of testimony are pertinent and what lines are not.
I understand, and let me just say that the motion, we're all clear, relates to the request for preliminary injunctive relief. I understand the defense motion is broader, it gets to whether or not the case will continue at all in any respects, and for the reasons that have been laid out, and both parties have briefed them. I've reviewed the pleadings, what I want to do, and we had this discussion at the last hearing. I'd like to have the testimony first, and then we can have arguments on those motions. I understand that the defense's position is that we don't even need this testimony for the arguments that have been advanced in the motion to dismiss. But because I'd like to have a broader understanding of the specific facts before I rule on the pending motions, we're going to have testimony today.
Thank you.
So in terms of order, I don't know, Attorney Bauer, I don't know how long your witnesses are, if you want to take Mr. Cleveland first, or if you want to deal with that later in the day. I'm happy to do it either way.
I anticipate 3 witnesses today, and then the case in chief will close, and Mr. Cleveland can then take the stand, and I think Mr. Meyer will put him on, and we'll do a promise of Mr. Cleveland, and I'm hopeful, frankly, that we can continue and perhaps conclude the evidence today. I know that if Attorney Meyer doesn't put on certain witnesses, I'd like to call them. So that's why I'm saying that I guess the case in chief would not close, because I do want to reserve the right to call a couple of the defendants.
I understand. So why don't we do, we'll see where we are as the day progresses. Now, it looks like we're not going to get through those witnesses. I want to make sure that we give Mr. Cleveland an opportunity to be heard. So you can call your first witness.
Okay, I'll call Alan to the stand, please. Okay. Would you swear the witness in, please?
Sir, if you just stand, raise your right hand. Do you swear the testimony you're to give this morning is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth under the pain of perjury?
I do so, yeah.
And if you could just be seated and state your full name, spell your last name again for the record.
Alan Givetz, G-I-V-E-T-Z.
Alan, how old are you, sir?
I'm sorry,
How old are you?
I'm 35.
Are you married?
Yes, sir.
Do you have children?
Yes, sir.
Do you live in the Keene area, the Cheshire County area?
Yes.
Okay. Could you just give a brief description of your educational background, please?
High school diploma, some college education, military training, some law enforcement training through Corrections Academy, and correspondence courses and such.
And with regard to the military training, have you, what service did you provide?
Army, military police.
Okay. Did you see any action?
Yes, sir.
In what time frame?
It was between 2002 to 2004.
with regard to employment for the city of Keene, when did you start working for the city of Keene as a parking enforcement officer?
It was September of 2012, I believe.
Okay, we're in 2013 right now.
Yep.
Okay, so it was about a year ago.
Yeah, I think it was 2012, yeah.
Okay. And what hours, how many hours would you work approximately each week?
I'd work about 34 hours every week.
Okay. And what type of schedule did you have?
I worked Monday through Thursday, 9 to 5:30.
And with regard to your duties and responsibilities, what were they essentially as a parking enforcement officer?
To maintain and enforce the rules and regulations downtown as far as parking, whether it be the meters, the 2-hour parking, no parking zones, handicap spaces, things such as that.
The exhibits that we've marked, Exhibit 2 shows some photographs of various parking meters and parking angles. Exhibit 2, the very first top photograph, what does that show? What does that typically demonstrate?
That just shows double meter spaces, 1 meter in between the 2 spaces that covers both spaces. Those are angled spaces. I believe that's on Washington Street.
And is that a fair representation that there are 3 angled spaces that are approximately 30 feet apart?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And down below, where is that photograph of exhibit taken?
That's upper parking garage in City Hall.
Okay. With regard to exhibit 3, top photograph, what does that show?
That shows the parallel spaces, the 2-hour parking zones.
And the below photograph?
That shows single meter spaces, again, on beginning of Washington Street, right in front of City Hall.
And the distances that are depicted on here, 2 parallel spaces, approximately 44 feet apart, is that accurate from your point of view?
Yes, sir.
And the same thing with regard to the 1 parallel space, 22 feet apart?
Yes.
Now, in terms of your area of responsibilities, we also submitted an overview of the City of Keene area downtown parking, Exhibit 1. And you just show with your finger to the judge approximately your area of coverage
Yep.
as a PEO.
We covered, I believe this is Lower Main Street down by the college, and we covered all the way up on Main Street. Some of the side streets like Winter Street by the library and stuff that have meters, Railroad Street, Eagle Court. We also did cover the outside, like the other side streets and stuff for no parking, parking in front of fire hydrants and stuff like that. We also went out to what do you call them, where the stores are and stuff, the plazas, sorry, for like handicap spaces and stuff.
Okay. And how would you get around most of the time?
Most of the time, if we were on Main Street, we walked. We also did have vehicles we used to go out to the side streets and the
Okay.
plazas.
Now, I also have 2 more exhibits, photograph exhibits. I'm going to ask to be marked as 4. And what does this photograph depict?
Commissioner Meyer, if you need, at any point, if you need to move to see them.
Go this way.
This is Central Square. That's the gazebo and the fountain in the middle.
Okay.
This is just
And where is City Hall, just for the court's orientation? Okay. And so where is this courtroom? I know it's not on this photograph, but just for...
it's right about here.
All right. And is this an area that you control?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Your Honor, I'd ask that that be marked as 4, please.
Any objection?
Take the apple and get outside. Remove yourself.
Excuse me, I'm in this.
Oh, okay.
That's fine. Remove yourself.
That's what I did.
Yep, get rid of the apple or whatever you're eating.
Bagel. Nice.
Yep, when you're finished, come in.
It's a bit aggressive, but okay.
Your Honor, that was Exhibit 5. I stood corrected from the stenographer.
Exhibit 5 is a full exhibit without objection.
No objection on it.
So, are you presently employed by the city?
I am,
And in what capacity?
just for my time in this case.
Okay. Did you tender a resignation?
I did.
Why?
I tendered a resignation because I couldn't deal with the constant harassment and intimidation that started to boil over into my personal life and my time off. It was too much. Yeah, I didn't like how it was making me feel. I didn't like how it was coming about, how it continued day in and day out with no resolve, no break.
When did you resign, Alan?
I believe it was in July. It was over the summer.
July of 2013?
Yeah, it was either the end of June or the beginning of July, I'm sorry.
Now, with regard to the, your work from September through July, that is September 2012 through July of 2013, you said you were working 34 hours a week, Monday through Thursday, correct?
Yes.
Would you describe to the court whether, what interactions, if any, you had with the 6 defendants in this lawsuit?
I had interactions varying from just following me with the cameras, not saying anything, to the point where it got to the point where they were in my face and would not move when I asked them to. Calling me names, making remarks, attacking my veteran status, attacking my belief in God, attacking my religion, my faith. They brought up my family. It was just provocative statements just to get me to react a certain way. I had them call me a coward, a bitch, say that I was a racist. I condoned the droning of brown babies because I was a veteran.
Your Honor, again, we're just dealing with indiscriminate pay, which doesn't help in terms of attributing it to any individual.
I'll tie it together,
I
Judge.
agree.
I'm just doing an overview of this.
I understand,
And in those kinds of behaviors that you've just generally described, on a Monday through Thursday basis of any given week, how often would those occur?
Daily,
I'm sorry.
daily, every day.
And of the hours that you were out patrolling as a PEO officer, how many hours a day did you experience those kinds of problems with these defendants?
The hours varied. Sometimes it would be going on from, I would see people at 9 o'clock. Sometimes I wouldn't see them until the afternoon. The hours did vary, but it was every day.
Did you like your job, Alan?
I did up until December.
Why did you like your job?
I liked it because I got paid to see the city, to walk, to exercise. I got to interact with the good people of the city. I got to know the city a little bit better, its history. Like I said, I got to help people as far as citizens and stuff, giving them directions. And some people would ask where a good place to eat was, simple things like that. I've even jump-started people's cars, helped push them out of the street when they broke down. I generally like helping people.
Was this a job that you expected to continue in?
Yes.
And now you said that when I asked you whether you're currently employed, would you explain to the court what you mean by that? Are you actually doing parking enforcement responsibilities?
No.
Okay, would you explain to the court what you meant by your answer that you're employed?
I'm employed by the city to just help with this case and to give my testimony to help these ladies that are going to continue the job.
In other words, you have a job now, correct?
Yes, sir.
And you're taking some time off from that job,
Yes.
and your current employer is not paying you?
No.
Okay, but the city is compensating you for the hours that you're missing?
Yes.
Okay, and is that the extent of what?
Yes.
Alan, if you're not working for the city anymore as a parking enforcement officer, why are you testifying on behalf of the city?
Because I know how those individuals feel. I know what it's like to be a public servant, to have this happen to you day in and day out, to feel like there's no out, there's no way to get away from it, there's no end in sight. I don't feel that this should happen to anybody, regardless of their profession or what job they're doing. It's not right, and I feel that somebody needs to give their testimony, especially somebody that experienced it day in and day out. It's it's not fair for an individual, a human being to experience what I experienced and to experience what they're experiencing.
I'd like to talk to you a little bit about, you said since December of 2012 through July of 2013, that you were experiencing what you've described
Mhm.
as a PEO. Would you tell us what conduct defendant Graham Colson directed at you?
Graham Colson directed comments. He would get in my way when I asked him to move. He'd say things like, "What are you gonna do about it, boy? Boy, what are you gonna do about it?" He would yell at me and say that I was upset because of my own actions. He would say that he would ask me, "What am I gonna do about it?" Have my church buddies run him out of town with shotguns. He was the one that said, "You're a racist. You condone the droning of brown babies." He's the one that brought up my wife in conversation. He's the one that called me the bitch and the coward when I would go into the library to use the bathroom.